Hi, I'm Brian House with Frazier Financial. We're here today to talk about the new federal student loan relief program. I'm sure many of you have seen headlines, and we want to get into some details on how this might benefit you and your family. We'll start with a very short list of things that this program does not do. First and foremost, it does not address functionally really the huge increase in college costs over the last 10 or 15 or 20 years. So that problem still remains, that college costs have gone up an exorbitant amount, and things like Pell Grants and student loan costs have really gone up at the same time. So it does not help us all pay for college, but it does address some of the debt people have incurred so far. We will put a link on our social media channels and our client newsletter. There's a White House press release that you can read for the official statement. There's also a Department of Education press release. So if you really want to nerd out on some details, we'll make those available to you. One important difference here from law is that this debt relief program is all through executive order. So this is not going to go through Congress. There's not going to be a whole bunch of revisions between Senate and the House of Representatives. This should stay fairly consistent with what we have now, though it is still open to being tested in our courts. So there could be legal challenges, but for now, we have the initial version to work through and try to understand. One important note here is that there are a lot of items left unclear. So there'll be guidance coming from the Department of Education in future months, and we'll certainly stay on top of that and keep our clients informed. So let's talk about what this debt relief program does do. What it does do is relieve student loan debt. That's gotten most headlines. Let's talk about a few things that are a little less attention grabbing. One is it extends the student loan payment pause until the end of this year. That's the fourth, maybe the fifth extension of student loan payments. I would not plan on any more extensions. So if you have not been making payments since the CARES Act in March of 2020, this is probably the end of the road. Payments are going to start up next year. Another thing this does is revamps the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. This is a program that's been around for a little while. It's been a dumpster fire for most of its life. Hundreds of thousands of people have applied for forgiveness and been rejected. Very minor details have messed up people's loan forgiveness. So this is, in our lens, a positive. This is an attempt to fix a program that sounded good and didn't work. There's a waiver application process. There's a lot of detail on how to work through that waiver. If you think this applies to you and you need more details, please give us a call. That deadline is October 31st. So the most headline grabbing part of this program is that it forgives $10,000 of student loan debt for single tax filers who make less than $125,000 a year, or married filing joint tax filers who make less than $250,000 a year. That $250,000 number is also head of household filers. If you have Pell Grants, you get an additional $10,000 of student loan relief. Interestingly, government graduate school loans and Parent Plus loans are eligible for forgiveness. That was a little bit of a surprise. Private loans are not eligible. There's also a type of loan that dances a bit between government and private loans. Those are called federal family education loans. They generally are funded by private companies. Some of them were later purchased by the government. We don't really know how those are going to be treated. The Department of Education has said they would like to have those included, so we'll see how that shakes out. Something else that's not well defined yet is the definition of those incomes. So I mentioned if you're single and make under $125,000 a year, or married filing joint and make under $250,000 a year, you are eligible for forgiveness. So far, we don't think there's going to be any phase out range. So those are cliff amounts. If you are over by $1, you likely do not qualify. And the best way to gauge your income is probably your adjusted gross income. That's the number that's most commonly used for loan applications and similar Department of Education programs. So look at your AGI and see where you fall. It's interesting to note, the White House said that they set those income limits to keep the top 5% of earners from getting any benefit. So if you do phase out of this, which many of our clients will, that's a good thing. Pat yourself on the back. You're in the top 5% of American incomes. A big question we've been getting is if this debt forgiveness will be taxable. Oftentimes it is. In this case, it is not. The American Rescue Plan Act from last year made all student loan forgiveness tax-free through 2025. So no federal tax implication. State taxes are a little bit more complicated. If we help you with tax planning, we can explain what might apply to you. The new debt relief program also proposes some new income-driven repayment systems. Those are not final. There's a version out there that we think makes some sense. We'll see if those get changed. It would include a loan forgiveness program if you paid through an income-driven repayment program over more than 10 years. But again, that's all new, not yet final. We'll see what happens. There are a few financial planning ideas here. A few might even be generous. There's not a whole lot of things you can do to go and get yourself eligible if you're not already. If you are a business owner and if you are extending your tax return still from 2021, it's possible that retirement plan contributions could get your AGI low enough that you would qualify for debt forgiveness. You'd have to fit into a pretty small subset of people. You have to be a business owner, you have to be right around that income threshold, and you have to have some student loans, and they cannot be private loans. So it's not going to apply to most people. So what do you need to do if you want to get this loan forgiveness? If you are on an income-driven repayment program, which millions of people are, the government already has your income information. If you have not yet certified your 2020 and 2021 income on your income-driven repayment plan, you're going to want to go do that, and then you're eligible for up to $10,000 of forgiveness. Everyone else who's eligible is going to have to apply online. That application doesn't exist. The Department of Education has a mandate to create it by the end of this year, the end of 2022. So we'll certainly let our clients know when that's available. There is a Department of Education newsletter where you can subscribe to get alerts as this program rolls out. We'll put that link in our social media profiles in our client newsletter, so you can take a look and subscribe. One potential action item, if you are someone who had student loans that did not require payments since 2020, but you did make payments, it's possible you can get a refund of those payments, which would increase your loan balance and then get that larger loan balance forgiven. Again, this is not going to be a lot of people, but if you have made payments and think you're otherwise eligible, that might be worth talking through with us and deciding if that's a good course of action. If they end up not allowing that strategy, you're really not going to be harmed. You could just get the refund of your payments, then they don't allow us to go back and get that additional forgiveness. You just put the money right back on the loan. So pretty low risk strategy on something we don't yet have in black and white. There's a calendar of important dates around this student loan forgiveness program. We'll put that up on the screen, and we'll also have a link to that in our social profiles and newsletter. As always, our team here at Frazier Financial is honored to serve you and your family. If you have questions around this student loan debt forgiveness program, please contact your primary advisor. Happy to take a deeper dive and see how this might apply to you.